Здравствуйте. The year is 1986. A catastrophic event occurs at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. An event that will forever alter the course of history and create a place shrouded in mystery. The Chernobyl exclusion zone, a vast territory abandoned by humanity, immediately became a source of countless legends and dark tales. Why does this place captivate our imagination so? It's because it represents a world frozen in time, a silent testament to a tragedy of immense proportions. The empty streets of Pripyat, the abandoned villages, the eerie quiet, all of it creates a unique atmosphere, a perfect breeding ground for stories that blur the line between the plausible and the fantastic. This is a story of a place where the past refuses to die. The mystery begins with the very nature of the disaster. A powerful invisible enemy, radiation, forced hundreds of thousands of people to flee their homes, leaving everything behind. Imagine, one moment you are living a normal life in a thriving Soviet city, and the next, you are an evacuee, never to return. This sudden forced departure left behind a ghost town, a time capsule of the Soviet era. School books lie open on desks. Toys are scattered in kindergartens, and propaganda posters still hang on walls, slowly fading away. It is this abrupt halt to everyday life that makes the zone so profoundly unsettling and enigmatic. A puzzle that investigators and tourists alike are still trying to piece together decades later. This sense of mystery is amplified by the strict access controls. For many years, the zone was a closed-off, forbidden land, guarded by military patrols. This secrecy, a hallmark of the Soviet system, naturally fueled speculation and rumor. What was really happening behind the barbed wire? What secrets were the authorities hiding from the public? This lack of information created a vacuum that was quickly filled with myths and conspiracy theories. People spoke of secret experiments, hidden bunkers, and strange phenomena that defied all scientific explanation. The zone became more than just a contaminated area. It transformed into a modern-day legend, a place where the known world ended and the unknown began. Today, even with guided tours and increased access for scientists and journalists, Chernobyl Zone retains its mysterious aura. The landscape itself tells a story of nature's powerful reclamation. Forests have consumed entire villages, and wild animals roam the deserted streets of Pripyat as if humanity never existed. This powerful contrast, the decaying remnants of human civilization being swallowed by untamed wilderness, is a haunting spectacle. It serves as a constant reminder of our own fragility and the enduring power of nature. It's a silent, ongoing investigation into what happens when man's greatest technological achievement results in his most profound failure. And that, dear viewers, is a mystery worth exploring. Now, let's talk about the main culprit. This is the invisible killer, radiation. Following the explosion of reactor number 4, a colossal amount of radioactive particles, cesium-137, strontium-90, plutonium, was released into the atmosphere. This deadly cloud traveled for thousands of kilometers, but the most intense contamination settled in the immediate vicinity, creating the exclusion zone. This invisible contamination is the true scientifically proven danger of Chernobyl. It seeped into the soil, the water, and every living organism. For the first responders, the heroic liquidators, the exposure was immediate and fatal. They were the first victims in a long, tragic investigation into the effects of acute radiation syndrome. The impact on the environment was swift and brutal. The pine forest located just west of the power plant received the highest dose of radiation fallout. The trees turned a ginger-brown color and died within a short period, earning this area the grim name, the Red Forest. This was a clear, visible sign of radiation's destructive power. However, the long-term effects are more complex. While some animal populations initially suffered, many species have since made a remarkable comeback in the absence of humans. Wolves, bears, lynx, and the unique Przewalski's horses now thrive in the zone, but the investigation into their health continues. They carry radioactive isotopes in their bodies, a silent, internal contamination, passed down through generations. For humans, the consequences were devastating and far-reaching. The initial evacuations saved hundreds of thousands from immediate lethal doses. But the story didn't end there. The long-term health effects remain a subject of intense study and debate. The most well-documented consequence has been a significant increase in thyroid cancer cases, particularly among those who were children or adolescents at the time of the accident. This was caused by the intake of radioactive iodine. Other health issues are harder to link directly to Chernobyl, creating a complex medical mystery that scientists are still working to solve, separating proven facts from anxieties and other environmental factors. Even today, the zone remains a patchwork of contamination. While radiation levels in many areas, such as the city of Pripyat, have decreased enough to allow for short, controlled visits, there are still hotspots of extreme danger. Areas like the Red Forest and the machine graveyard at Rasaka contain dangerously high levels of radiation, where even a short stay can be harmful. This is why visitors must follow strict rules. Do not touch anything, do not sit on the ground, and do not take any souvenirs. The danger is real. It is invisible and when it's quite distant and it is persistent. The case of radiation's impact is far from closed. It's an ongoing investigation with consequences that will last for centuries. And now we enter the realm of myth. When an event is as terrifying and poorly understood as Chernobyl, human imagination tends to run wild. The most persistent and sensational myths are those of mutants. Stories of two-headed wolves, giant spiders, and fish with 5 eyes have become a staple of Chernobyl folklore. These tales are often fueled by video games and movies that portray the zone as a post-apocalyptic wasteland teeming with monstrous creatures. But what is the reality? Is there any truth to these frightening stories? The investigation leads us to a clear scientific conclusion. These stories are almost entirely fiction. While radiation can and does cause genetic mutations, these mutations are rarely the stuff of horror films. In reality, a severe mutation in an animal is typically detrimental, leading to the creature's death either before birth or shortly after. It does not create a super monster with enhanced abilities. Scientists who have studied the zone's wildlife for decades have found no evidence of two-headed animals or other such dramatic deformities thriving in the wild. They have observed instances of albinism, tumors, and other abnormalities, but these are far from the grotesque monsters of popular legend. The myth of mutants serves as a dramatic but inaccurate representation of the real, invisible dangers of radiation. Another popular set of myths revolves around the so-called zone anomalies. Inspired by the famous science fiction novel Roadside Picnic and the STLKR video game series, people talk of areas with strange physical properties, gravitational distortions, or fields that cause hallucinations. Tourists sometimes report feeling an inexplicable sense of dread or seeing shimmering air in certain locations. However, there is no scientific evidence to support the existence of such supernatural phenomena. These feelings are more likely a psychological response to the eerie, oppressive atmosphere of an abandoned, contaminated landscape. The human mind, faced with such a place, can easily play tricks in itself, creating mysteries when zeros, mysteries where none exist. The truth about Chernobyl's wildlife is actually more fascinating than the fiction. The absence of human activity, no industry, no farming, no traffic, has turned the zone into a unique nature reserve. This has allowed wildlife populations to flourish in a way that is impossible in most of Europe. The sight of a wolf trotting down the main street of Pripyat or a massive eagle owl perched on an abandoned building is a powerful and real spectacle. This unexpected ecological revival is the true wonder of the zone. The reality is not about monsters, it's about nature's resilience and its ability to reclaim what humanity has abandoned. A far more compelling story than any tale of mutants. Despite scientific explanations, some stories from the zone continue to defy simple logic, lingering like a radioactive half-life in the collective consciousness. These are the whispers, the strange tales, told by stalkers, illegal explorers of the zone. And even some official workers. One of the most famous is the legend of the Black Bird of Chernobyl. The story goes that in the days leading up to the disaster, several workers at the power plant reported seeing a large, black, bird-like creature with red eyes circling over the reactor. Some even claimed it resembled a man. After the explosion, the creature was never seen again. Is it a mass hallucination, a local folktale, or something more? The case file remains open. Another recurring theme in these stories involves strange sounds and apparitions in the ghost city of Pripyat. Visitors and former residents who have returned for brief visits sometimes speak of hearing inexplicable noises. Laughter of children in an empty kindergarten, the faint sound of a piano playing in the abandoned music school, or footsteps echoing in a deserted apartment block. Some have reported seeing shadowy figures darting at the edge of their vision, or lights turning on and off in buildings that have been without power for decades. While skeptics attribute these experiences to the wind, decaying structures, and an overactive imagination, for those who experience them, the feeling is chillingly real. Among the most curious findings are the dolls. In Pripyat, dolls are often found placed in bizarre staged positions, sitting on a gas mask in a crumbling schoolroom, staring out of a broken window, or arranged in a circle on a hospital bed. Tour guides often claim these are the work of other tourists trying to create a more dramatic or photogenic scene. And while this is certainly true in many cases, the sheer number and unsettling nature of these arrangements have led some to wonder if there's another explanation. For some, these dolls represent the lost souls of the city, a poignant and creepy form of modern folklore created by those who pass through this silent world. So, what is the final verdict in our investigation of the Chernobyl Zone? The truth is a complex mixture of established fact, psychological projection and pure fiction. The real dangers are invisible: radiation, contaminated soil, and decaying structures. The monsters and mutants are products of our fear and imagination, a way to give a face to an invisible threat. Yet, the zone remains a place that feels fundamentally unnatural. A scar on the earth that invites mystery. The whispers and strange tales may just be stories, but they speak to a deeper truth, that when humanity creates a hell on earth, the ghosts of that creation will haunt us for a very long time. And that is a completely different story.